Letters from the front. The following are extracts from letters received from Private W.J. Crowder, who proceeded to South Africa as a member of the Imperial Bushmen's contingent. Tongs, January the 27th, 1901. Quote, "We left Vryburg with a big convoy for a place called Witzerenica, about 50 miles off, which took 3 days to accomplish. Starting at 2 a.m, we would travel till about 10 and then spell. After leaving the garrison there, we started for Tongs, accompanied by them and about 20 Dutch families and a number of natives. They all had their own wagons, and the journey took 4 days. On the way we commandeered a lot of sheep and cattle and had plenty of fresh meat, which was a welcome change from tinned meat, which we invariably receive. On arrival at Tongs, we were informed that the enemy was camped about 12 miles out, and after a brief spell we sallied after them. They, however, retreated north. On the following day we again pursued them and called at Groenfontein, the locality of an ostrich farm, but failed to find any Boers. After a day's rest we heard that they were behind and in front of us, so we gave the others an opportunity to join the main body and pursued the enemy. The first day we covered 21 miles, and on the second 39, and drove them before us across a railway line into the Transvaal. Here we camped, and while one of the yeomen was on patrol, he was shot through the head and buried the same afternoon under a tree near the river. I have received some of the papers you sent and noticed what a fuss they made about the returned troops, from which one would think the war had ended, but it will be a long time yet before that is so. While pursuing is on, you have to take an extensive convoy, and they know you are coming and keep out of the way. On the 15th we left for Brakfontein, 50 miles distant, with a convoy 7 miles long, but the Boers had looted the place the night before. We came across an ostrich farm where there were over 100 young ones, but the old ones are very wild and you cannot get near them. This was a fearfully dirty camp, the dust being something terrible, very little rain having fallen during our trip. The Boers secured a trainload of stuff that was coming up for us. We intend cropping here for a week and will then proceed on a 30 days march, but we do not know where to, and we'll have a convoy of 200 wagons with rations besides our wagons. The other 3 Australian regiments are down at Daar. Corporal Farrier J. Cullen of Castlemaine, who left with the Imperial Bushmen, writing from Kimberley on February the 5th, 1901, to a friend at Campbell's Creek, says, quote, "I'm still dodging the hospital, though I was awfully near it 3 days ago. We went out to take Petersburg from the Boers, and our scouts reported everything clear. We were going along at a pretty good pace, the scouts about 50 yards ahead, when we ran right into the Boers' outposts. They fired a volley into us very pretty, but luck was favourable so far as I was concerned. They only shot my horse in 3 places. The first was through his head, the second in the flank, and the third went through his heart, which settled him. I thought it was all up for me, for I lay down behind him. That was at 12:15 p.m. We had walked right into a death trap. There were over 20 of them, so they fired some shots all right, as they had magazine rifles. Our men at the battery missed me, and the word was sent round that I was killed, but they found me later on. We got one home on the Boers next morning and killed 7 of them. Since I have been in the Kimberley flying column, I have seen 35 Boers killed, only 1 Britisher. The war is now a case of bands of about 20 Boers sniping at our troops." Trooper Crowder, son of Mr. W. Crowley of Castlemaine and a member of the Imperial Bushman Corps, writes to his relatives from Klerksdorp, March the 9th, 1901, quote, "I am enjoying good health. We left here last Monday and went toward Ventersdorp, then near Potchefstroom and back to Klerksdorp burning all the fodder and grain and securing all the cattle. The expedition took 6 days, and we brought back with us large quantity of cattle. We came back by a different route and thus had the opportunity of viewing some of the big mines around Buffelsdoorn. The country around us is very rich. We've received orders to leave it in the morning, but we were not informed of our destination. But we expect to get to Warrington, near Kimberley, about the 24th, when we will get our mail, and we hope a quantity of letters, for we have had none since leaving Tongs. The weather here is delightful. The young fellow, Smale, who was shot through the brain, is out of bed and doing well, the doctors being completely dumbfounded at such a remarkable recovery. There appears to be but little prospect of our coming home for a long time yet, probably not before the war is over, for Lord Methuen said at church this morning that when he stood up to fight he desired to finish it without calling for new men. So in that case it's highly improbable that the lot coming from Australia will relieve us. On the 23rd of last month the Boers shot 3 men for refusing to fight for them. The locality in which we are situated renders it very difficult to obtain news, and people hundreds of miles away know more about what is going on than we ourselves do. A letter has been received from Lieutenant Gartside of Harcourt, who was recently wounded in one of the engagements in the Transvaal. He mentions that he is out and about again and that his wounds are nearly healed. He hoped to be back at work in about 10 days' time. He stated that his arm is a little stiff, but does not mention how he received the wound or gave any idea of its severity. The probabilities are that a letter giving a description of his wound has gone astray. Barfold from our correspondent, the Quaint Observer, the 13th of April 1901. I've received a very interesting letter from Mr. J. Siddle, who was recently wounded in an engagement in South Africa, whose wound was in the tendons of the foot and is almost right again. In his letter, which is dated March the 6th, we get a splendid account of the hospital's arrangements and of the care and comfort which the wounded receive. In the letter I find favourable mention of a few of our lads, Thompson, Jarrett, Clark and others. One of our Bateman soldiers, Young, who was very seriously wounded about the same time as Siddle, is improving fast towards recovery, although wounded in 3 places. Well done, Victoria. In a letter to his friends in Malden, Private J. Davis, the 5th Victorian Contingent in South Africa, gives an interesting account of his experiences since his arrival at the seat of hostilities. On one occasion he had a very narrow escape with his life under most peculiar circumstances. He was in the fact of being shaved when a spent bullet entered the compartment and struck the barber's finger, injuring it severely, and grazed the skin of Jonah's neck. The wound was not serious, but the escape was too close to be pleasant. Private Davis enjoys the soldier's life and was quartered at the time of writing with the Mounted Regiment. The 28th of May 1901, letters from the front. Private Smith of Elphingston has forwarded us a letter from his son William, who's serving in South Africa with the Australian Bushmen. The letter is dated Pretoria, March the 24th, and he says, quote, "Pretoria is a very pretty place, especially coming into it from Irene. We came from Maitland straight here, and it took us 6 days and nights. On 2 occasions during the trip, the Boers fired on the train, and we pulled up for a few hours. I passed through all the principal towns, including Bloemfontein and Elandsfontein. At Machersfontein we saw the monument erected over the remains of General Worship, and we passed any amount of trains and bridges that had been wrecked. I was glad to get away from Cape Town, where we had to guard the natives. They were all hunted out of the town, plague-stricken, and they were cheeky brutes, so we had to use the bayonet pretty smart sometimes. We were just going up to Petersburg as soon as we could get ready under General Palmer. There are 10,000 of us, including Bushmen, Tommies and Highlanders. Botha is making a stand there with a lot of men. It's a plague-stricken part of the country, and this is the only time troops can go up there, so we will see a bit of fighting. 2 of our fellows were killed in Cape Town before we left, being crushed to pieces by the train." Yeah, hi everybody. It's another one of these glorious Sunday mornings, and I'm in the Strathbogie Ranges today. I'm in a little place called Violet Town, Don't think I've been here before. Of course, the Strathbogies is the heart of Ned Kelly country. So I love my Ned Kelly stories, and I've been to most of the places we're going today before. But anyway, Violet Town, yeah. Now over there is the Uniting Church, and they should be finishing their service in the next few minutes. I was expecting like an old building or something, but I believe in there is a plaque to one of our Boer War boys, a young man that lost his life over there in South Africa. So I rang the fella in charge, John, and told him I'd be coming over this morning. So he said they hang around till about 11. They have a cup of tea after the service. So I guess the church, the old church, was demolished or something, because this looks 1970s. I think it used to be a Presbyterian church, but we'll ask John when we go in. So, all right, so we'll just wait another 5 minutes and then we'll wander over. Big dog over there. So yeah, beautiful sunny Sunday morning in mid-August in the charming little village of Violet Town. Not violent, Violet. Apparently they have a big market here. I'll go and meet some Christians. Oh shit. Service starts at 9:30. I'm hearing lively chatter. Oh look, I can already see it. It's out the front, behind the flowers. Can you see that? Gee. It's got the tribute of the officers of the Victoria Mounted Rifles and the non-commissioned officers and the men to the memory of Private C.E. Williams of Violet Town, who died at Rensburg, South Africa, 12th of February 1900. It's fantastic, isn't it? Hello. Are you John? Are you John?
Put me here and then laid back.
Okay. Just wanted to see this.
All right, yep. Yeah, you can photograph it there.
I'm interested in the Boer War.
No, I don't.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is, yes, it's very beautiful.
And that's the king. Thank you very much.
Right.
You have a good day.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Whereabouts are you coming from?
Heathcote.
Oh, right.
Yeah, not too far. Bye-bye.
Right.
Well, that was pretty good. Yeah. It's a shame the old fella didn't have his hearing aid in, and the service was still going, because I would have liked to find out what happened to the original church here. And like the people next door are revving up for a barbecue today. So now we're going to do something which we haven't done on this channel before. There's a lot of YouTubers do this. We're going to go to a cemetery, but not just any cemetery. We're going to Greta. So yeah,
stop recording.